Doing a sound check.
Doing a sound check. Doing a sound check. Doing a sound check. Doing a sound.
I'm about to log in to see if I get trolled by. It's meant to be a guy called Roy. At this time, 8 o'clock in the evening, he hosts a Sunday evening weekly online Zoom meeting meant to be for those that are target individuals. I had seen a movie dated 1981 yesterday, which predicts everything that's happening now. Of course, many subjects is interlinked, as it states in the King James Bible version and many areas within that, and references Book of Revelations. They are definitely coming for the preppers, those that are self-sufficient in what the world is coming to an end as we know it. Now, the terminology, words and meanings and definitions is all about business, all about finance and control worldwide. Yet, the spirituality of individuals of look into the evidence of history is paramount, even if you need to go back and bury many centuries and do some digging. It's your 13 bloodline families, for example, and then bring it forward to perhaps the changes of human DNA, the Epsilon, the fallen angels, the demonic. See what's happening on the worldwide stage of the demonic side of life. The end of times, I mean, this website's not mine, it's just the research purposes, and shortly I will just keep the stream going, but if it gets hacked, like it always seems to, there are many subjects, it's not just one thing. And when people talk about off the cuff topics, for example, super soldiers, reference to, it's not aliens per se, it's entities that's coming through portals of using certain technology. I'm not an expert in that. And if you want to go and research that, I'm sure you'll be able to find some history and links of people have years ago on this particular website streaming above on this channel that you will see for yourself. I'm just an observer like anybody else, but let's see if I can log in and to see how there is conquer and divide even in those claiming to be some people may be experienced. I'm not knocking individuals, but they imply we need to see your face on social media, another software program called Zoom. Yet I had a strange message about somebody in a hospital, and God forbid they are, because I know what it's like to be set up by certain individuals connected to in England, how it's being portrayed. The door-to-door efforts, you know, anybody doesn't know about your God-given rights by now on this physical earth. It's so paramount to protect yourself practically, spiritually, best you can in every way, in whatever areas that you need to do. Hello, my dear. How are you today? Happy Boxing Day to you. I don't do pagan holidays. Do you like the screen? I've got a new screen thing on this channel. I'm gonna, if I can't even do it now. If I stop sharing the screen, you'll see the lovely design on it. You might give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna come back. If it works. I don't know if you saw that. I'll pay for this. I'll pay for this. I know. I just saw it, and they just made some new improvements. I pay £12 a month for this, and I can't use it on my main computer because they hacked me. There's no sound on my main laptop, so and if I get hacked on this, so there you go. How you coping? Let me see if I can type back. Should be able to highlight. I can highlight you on that one, I think. Yes, I can highlight you. Yeah, you're tired. I'm okay, but tired. But in this occasion, it's self-inflicted for future. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Why not? Why not enjoy yourself? As I said, I watched a really good film. It's I saved it in a playlist. It's a public playlist. I can't remember what it's called now. I might have to search for it. And it's like a faith type movie of this channel. I can't remember which one it was now, but it's actually dated, ironically, for 1981, just before the year my daughter was born. And it's every single the script. You just can't make it up. The script and the storyline was everything that's going on Earth now, from the you know what, and how the hunted down the faith believers, how churches were being banned to be worshipped in, how people couldn't meet in meetings, how Bibles were banned. That this was a film, all those years ago, and look what's happening right now. And then it showed, ironically, all these people being prepared, food storages, self-sufficiency, off-grid living. In that movie, it showed towards the end that they were being hunted down. It showed the mark of the beast, okay, but in the movie, it showed a different, like literally on the hand, it showed the ritual of the so-called whatever country it's meant to be in the movie, that this president had got shot for an assassination. And in the movie, it showed that this demonic being did a spiritual demonic power over the body and made it come to life. And that was the Antichrist, in the movie. And that everybody's made to worship, and he was worshipped. And that was all like, what am I watching? And I couldn't believe it, because it was like, how ironic that reality now in this world, this is what the world is going through right now. Like 2021 to 2022 onwards now. And yet that movie was 1981. I couldn't believe it. Right. Let me see if I've got it on my playlist. And I'm going to find it, the title. Let me go into my channel. And I know I saved it, because I know I shared it. Right. Oh, here we go. I put the wrong date in it. Right. It's called Years of... I'll show you, actually. Screen share. Okay, so you'll find on that channel. Is that clear? Okay. Is on Vision Video, Years of the Beast, 1981. And yeah, so let me have a description. A fast moving feature-length movie portraying the events in the Book of Revelations. This historical story explores the end times with realistic characters and portrays the experience of society where money is worthless, okay, food is scarce, your neighbour is your enemy, and oppression resides. Watch the ultimate forces of Satan and God prepare for the final battle. Feel the great and ultimate triumph of Christ's return, and look up with encouragement, for our redemption draws near. Witness the years of tribulations and the great ultimate triumph of Christ and his church. Director is D. Paul Thomas. And that is, and just, if you're not into spirituality, but just watch the movie for the symbolism to what we're going through now. You can't see it. Hold on. Hold on. They're trying to make my phone go blurry again, are they? Can you see it now? Vision, video. Can you see the video title? Yeah, Years of the Beast. Got it. Years of the Beast, 1981. You'll soon find it. And it's on my playlist. But I've got the alterate the year. I put 13081. They messed me about with my bloody mind control technology yesterday when I was trying to type it up. Yesterday. No, they're blurring out my bloody phone, are they? Hello, Jeff. Didn't mean any. Oh no, that's fine. If I don't see anyone's content and it's just like blank content on their video, I will take the assumption that it's a troll on this channel and the comment will be deleted. Other times this is completely hacked all the time and the comments might just disappear. So, and sometimes it won't be mine. Okay. And how are you? I'm just a slightly bewildered researcher. Okay. In what way? Not at all. Okay. Only has very short history. Okay. I was hacked the same day. Good gracious me. Bank cleared. Sorry, correction. Let me just read that. I was hacked the same day. Bank cleared my home sale. What do you mean by your home sale? What happened? Did they cause a fraudulent transaction on your home? What country are you in? Are you in America? Do you know about banking system, commerce, etc., and how the real system works? If I read your comment correctly. I was hacked with this. Excuse me, my voice is going. I completely understand. I often check. I've got a drink. Hold on. Excuse me. I'll go check something. Let me just read your comment in a minute. Trying to make sure my dinner doesn't get burnt. Alright, I think that's done there with it. It's done. I'll be back with this shortly. Challenging world we're living in now is ready for the battle of their lives. There's a lot going on in this world, in many subjects. Okay. EducateYourself.org is a research channel. Information on that channel is a research tool. If one wants to know. A bit late in the day for my lunch, but there you go. Okay, so basically, only home I managed to own free and cleared. It's exact day check cleared. Someone tried, oh my gosh, 14 times to transfer X amount. So cancelled everything online. Thus short. Oh my. Did somebody fraudulently take all of your investment, your savings, of your wealth, of your fiat currency out of that bank? And have I read that right? So just finding the video. Yeah, no worries, Empowered. So I'm just reading your comment, Jeff. Only home I managed to own free. Well, on that one. What country you're in? England, America? Because obviously you must be obviously clued up on how the monetary system works. It cleared exact day. Check cleared and someone 14 times though. 14 times. What the hell did that corporation entity known as the CEO of that bank corporation do to compensate for the harm, the tort, the extreme risk and loss? Because that's your sweat equity going into that investment, into assets, into that bricks and mortar. And if it's in the UK, there is a process to seek a remedy and a commercial gain if that is not forthcoming. Right, so I don't know if you know about CCC Uniform Commercial Code, UCC 1-by means. They've gone down that road or know anything about it because, wow, yeah, so did you lose out? Not a damn thing. Ended up transferring an entire amount to credit union. Well, you're safer. Well, smart one. Smart move. Because the credit union is much safer than the banks. The banking system, especially, I just got a notification actually today, are collapsing. That's by design. And the system, as we know, is just fiat currency anyway. It's just numbers on a computer. That's why they want to go digital currency. Fiat, well, fiat currency's never been backed up with anything. It's never been backed up with gold or silver since 1933. The gold standard, the gold back, greenback. So, yeah, when you get educated on these information, you realise that all human individuals, no matter where they are, no matter where they live, their sweat equity creates value. And trust and equity and futurity information and reference those financial subjects is quite daunting to go down, and to know that there isn't the only value you have is in assets, solid assets, which obviously land and bricks and mortar. And now, especially at the moment, is commodities will be food and water, survival. This is the future. And if people go into crypto, then what's a guarantee that the Internet of Things won't be plugged, pulled, talk about dark winters subject, for example. If the grid goes down, the electricity, will go back to bushcraft skills, back to history repeats itself, bankrupting the economy to create the control like they have in China. With they got an example trial basis in January 2022 in England for the company's actually an Australian company. They've got a contract in England. I won't go into that right now, but bear with me a minute. It's all about control anyway. Nothing but control. And when you get educated and you have the bits and pieces of knowledge, they want to monitor you, watch what you're doing, watch what you know, target you, gaslight you, set you up. And whether it's financially, I'll tell you that it is demonic. The 13 bloodline families, if you can hear me in the background. 13 bloodline families, back in, you need to do the history, and when you work it out who they're connected to date. It's education to know who's who, who's connected to who, why things are happening where they are, basically. Okay. And it all links to banking, finance, control. That's all it ever is. It's all about commerce and business. And it gives the illusion that the public, ordinary people, have power and control. And they give that illusion. But really, everything's built within trust. You put the body of trust, things into a trust, creates a body of trust. So they can avoid the taxation. This is big corporations talking about. And once people get wind of that, a lot of people do on their own merits over the years, but now those trading already been trading the stock market for years, and traders and finance, they've already got the assets protected. It's a bit like the Rockefeller family, They set up the Rockefeller Foundation, and they knew it was in their bloodline and the training. What's happening in the world now and why? Nothing new. It's nothing new at all. So therefore, if one is not happy, opportunities to own their own assets, property, estates, and have been in the paycheck to paycheck scenario for quite a while, And that a lot of people's no fault of their own. That's what the program's all about. Control. Oh, I forgot I had them. Where is this? Gotta get something. But it's not just about business and finance. There's a lot more going on. Yeah. Hello Joe, how are you today? Just talking about business and finance, about the economy, and then seeing the film dated 1981, predicting what's all happening in the world now. I can't believe I saw that yesterday. I'm just having something to eat, so excuse me while I multitask. Yeah. Did you see Seven's recent video of the sun halo? Well, I had a theory with that one. Excuse us a minute. I had a theory with the sun halo. I'm just reading, or should I say good evening, depending what time zone you're in. It is evening over here, yeah. I would have been on a conference call with a video meeting thing with certain individuals who just repeat the same old every bloody week. So it makes a change. I'm just having a treat, so excuse me as I talk. If I have a mouthful, not me. Tanya, blessings to you. How are you over there? What's the time for you? Did you get any sleep? You did see it, Joe. Yeah, I thought so. Jess says, sorry if I couldn't follow for a few. I've hard to hear. Ah, right, okay, yeah. Do you need specific type of how do they do it? With computers, specific software, laptop, iPads, to assist the hard of hearing. And those may be blind and deaf as well, because there's a lot of good technology about for that, for disabilities as well. Yeah, so no worries. 3:30 p.m. Ah, right, 7 will be still working, won't he? Well, there's a time difference, isn't it? Mind you, depends what state. I think depending, I'm not expert in time, but depending what state you live in, and if you're in Idaho, I can't even pronounce it, in that part of America, then the time difference could be completely different if you're in California, I assume. Okay, I'm just reading Jeff's comment. I'm a female, by the way, obviously. Yes, have been trapped to the point of depression in deep holes. So sorry to hear that. No, not that bad. Just need bigger screen, microphone. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. That was about my eyesight, my phone. So is about adapting, isn't it? Yeah, the mind plays a trick, you know. Anybody out there doesn't realise how this, that's why the website is streaming. If you want to have a nose around on the subject of mind control, just have an open mindset, no pun intended, of the manipulation of the psychological human psyche. Look for the subject title, Tavistock Institute, and then it links in with the British royal family. Get you intrigued, have a look. And people are waking up to the mind, okay? The mind is everything, right? The soul is precious. You can always guarantee your inner soul. And when these emotions come, of human emotions, okay, they get manipulated, been manipulated for centuries. And why? Okay. And when you find out the things I have for a long time now, and many others, you'll find and realise and start to keep a diary. Especially when you get the darkness of thoughts, your thoughts of the mind, and then the thoughts create actions, and they could be negative or good. It really depends on what the DNA, your structure in your DNA of the body is being programmed to do. It's manipulation for so long. And why not would they want to mix with the human DNA and alterate the brain and the makeup of the natural human body for centuries to create? The rabbit hole goes deep, put it that way. And be careful, and just pick particular subject that might interest you. And when you go down to this process of investigating of subjects you may not already know about, and it just might, when you have that spiritual awakening, for example, you can't go back to sleep in that sense. The soul is awakened, and you realise that we're all spiritual. Whether you believe in the mainstream narrative of religion or whatever, we're all human, we're all naturally spiritual. Now, mixing with the DNA, and especially with the way they're doing it now, is nothing new, because they've always been doing that in history. But genetically is demonic, extremely demonic, when they're mixing with the DNA to create different emotions in people worldwide. Now, when 13 bloodline families of the occult, I'm talking about extremely dark occultists here, they raise their children within their bloodline families. And we're going back centuries to date. So there's a bit of history, which I won't go into all. And then you go into Book of Enoch, and you look at what they claim, the fallen angels, demonic, mixing with, I'm not scripture knowledge, but mixing of the human DNA with non-human, put it that way. And then hybrids subject. I'm not into alien theory. I'm just saying that when they raise their kids, they raise them with love and affection, so that they don't have any emotions and attachments, and they get well trained. And if you don't know about the underground dams, underground tunnels worldwide for a long time, why they've always been there, Yeah, so you mix up all the information that you learn, and my goodness me, it's like a rabbit hole, and it's just like you come out of it eventually, and you just pick which avenue that you want to stick to, and in my opinion, just stick to your spirituality and just take in the information, do what you want with it, be careful who you share it with, because not everybody is ready, and those are targeted. Okay, in my opinion, I could be the ones ready to try and help the rest that are not, because the shite's hitting the fan in the major ways that you might not be aware of, and they come after those that have the knowledge just by learning and gaining information. And then when you have that information, they've got to shut you down, they've got to stop you, they've got to trap you, they've got to lie about you, they've got to make sure you're isolated so you don't have family, your friends have disappeared, they've got to set you up. And this is what the subject words known as target individuals. It gets deeper than that, but then you get the psychological tactics called gaslighting. But I've never been against anyone specifically, and it is very hard to forgive those that cause you harm, cause you loss, pain and suffering, especially when it's family members. And it's a very, very in a spiritual sense, you might not ever be able to forgive anyone that's caused harm. Well, especially if it's physical, financial, emotional, because if you can't find that closure, then you're going to have an empty. You're going to feel. You may. I'm assuming here, but you may find you just have an empty shell, and you won't be comfortable with oneself, and you'll just be searching for things to fulfill yourself that will not. But you just have an emptiness about oneself. And I only know too well. I speak from experience. Sadly, I'll read your comments in a moment. There's a lot of people out there that just watch the television, that don't want to know. They just can't cope. Bury their heads in the sand and hope that the world will get better on its own. Sadly, they're going to have a rude awakening. And a lot of these people are paid off to go along with things because it's well organised, the occult. Every tiny city worldwide has this well structured organisations, and there's some. It's not quite saying that the Freemason lodges are involved, but there is interlinked. Once you get to a certain degree, and you think it's innocent membership, and you're going to help mankind or your friends or family and get on and add in business, sadly, you might just do that. I was married to one once, not a very nice individual. Quite a few people I got to know within the fraternity, and they turn out to be very, very selfish, heartless, very demonic, and once you swear your blood oath, there's no escaping it. So once a brother or a sister gives a call out for help, they all clan together and protect each other, and even in criminality. So and the things they do to cover things up. That's why I don't never talk about what I know of this very dark occult. I've been in it, seen a lot of things, witnessed a lot of things. I can only let out certain things because I'm on the radar, shall we say. Okay. Okay, I'm just reading up the comments now. You've always been a loner, Jeff, but it's the obstruction or brainwash that bothers me. Yeah. I'll comment to that. How they use the NKO and brain-based technology. Yes, I spent several nights in floor, fetal positions, crying uncontrollable BC or dark things that unhinge me. Is that meant to be a little? I'm so sorry to hear that. I believe in mortal spiritual life. Excuse me, but IMO, organised religion, is that Scrooge? I can't pronounce the word tonight. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was raised in an organised occult religion, so I can totally relate to that. And it does affect you that way. You're not alone in that, Jeff. Joe says, it's bad enough with all the nanoparticulates in the sky. Totally. I agree. I will not help them out more by taking the... Yeah, exactly. When I connected the dots on the other channel, and I got a strike on that because of it, I didn't mention anything of that particular subject. I just know that certain things connected with the DNA and changes within the cells of the human body and the future of technology. Oh my God. I just could not believe what I found out. And it's just like suddenly the penny dropped. The ultimate end game is not what you think it is. And it's no wonder I had the letter the other day. After 8 months no contact by public servants in the UK. And I've got a horrendous task ahead of me from tomorrow. Because when you have information, it's a tool and it's power. And there's alternative platforms out there. Anyone knows about, they're trying to shut it down, but I can't say they can do that with the application. You've got Telegram app, and there's so many groups in that on certain subjects are freely talking about things worldwide in their own countries, what's going on. And I'm sure FBI, CIA, MI5, MI6, etc., NSA, whoever, monitor every single bit of data. They always been doing that for a long time, like Edward Snowden gets out and many other people, the former founder, WikiLeaks, what's happening to him, stitched up big time. Because knowledge is power, isn't it? And data is the biggest thing for the future. Control of humanity's data, biodata, medical data. Okay, the brain. Just imagine that movie. Have you ever seen it? Called Mars Attacks. Okay, sci-fi comedy movie. All those years ago, where in the script you've got one of the female reporter, having her head disemboweled and placed on a dog. Then you had one of the male reporters in the movie script had the same to him and placed on a animal's body. The symbolism and messages within these type of movies are given the public. Well, they just think it's a movie, but when you break down the symbolism, and eventually you find out it's all interlinked, what the ultimate of humanity, of humanists, of the future, to live forever in not necessarily the human form, to alterate. It's like there's a YouTube channel called Stimulated Reality, and with the artificial intelligence taking over and being their own, you know, like so many people who does a lot of research for so long, haven't they? You've got the Neuralink technology, you've got Skynet, you've got all this futuristic advancements in technology, and why do you think they want certain things into certain offers of certain things into people's bodies? And when you start investigating, and you have to be extremely careful what you say, who you say it to, especially online. And because that movie I saw yesterday showed that even if you are just yourself and you just think you're having a conversation with somebody, and that can be taken out of context and used against you in the future. Now, in Utah, in America, the D-Wave, the supercomputers, I mean, massive amount of database warehouses have been collecting for a long time. Every bit of data, so you might not have done anything to anyone, but you might in the future. So when they create a movie called Majority Report with Tom Cruise in it, and then within that script also is about pre-crime, thought police, yeah. So when you eventually look at the mind control, and as why I say you need to look at the history of these particular demonic characters within these bloodlines of these families connected to the occult, demonic occult, and how they've raised their kids and how they've infiltrated society in every level, and where humanity is to date and where it's going for the future. But yet the point is not to fear. It's easier said than done. And they're messing about with the weather, creating the illusion of getting people to go down certain rabbit holes. You know, you think, oh, I don't have control over anything. You know, at the end of the day, we can do our own little thing we need to do to preserve our physical existence while we're trying to survive this nightmare that's going on in many areas. And then they take away your ability to have a roof over your head, food in your belly, financial stability. Then what do you think is going to happen to humanity? It's going to be civil unrest, isn't there? And then what do you think that's going to happen? Oh, we want the globalist elites to create martial law. See what using at the moment in Australia? See the draconian measures in the politics in certain subjects going on right now? See what's happening in China with the control of the digital, everything, monetary system, everything. You know, the policies, the communist country, you know. Yes, there's nothing separate. It's all linked together. So I'm going to read your comments. Jess says there's much more of a flood now compared to the desert. It was 4 or 5 years ago. Let's just go back what you said. I missed your comment. As far for the PPL, what's PPL, Jeff? But also have gotten links, hints, and coincidences. No such thing, Jeff, as a coincidence. It's usually something you have a spiritual knowledge of. If such thing that I have let me just reread your comment. But I also have gotten links, hints, coincidences. If such things that have pointed me correctly, I'm positive one such thing was, there you go, AI. Yes, I lack direction. Depending, everyone's different, and it's very difficult because the psychological mindset of the mind, the brain, they do this in such a way so you're distracted and you can't find your footing and the neurons, in the brain cells, and the way they do the MK Ultra part and then use the brain interface technology in the brain and the body. Just go on that website streaming on the section of mind control, and you will find the answers. A lot of solutions, well, perhaps some answers, not a lot of solutions, but there's a lot of disinformation. All I try and share is my experiences, and it's not easy when you're going through personal situations and you find yourself in that period where the pressure, perhaps society's pressure, is like, you need that direction, you need to be focused, you need this, you need that. You can only do what you feel is right in your gut and what drives you and what you feel is right for your own situation, without influences from outside pressures, because society's got enough of trying to control one another. There's so many people might be in your ear or saying, do this, do that, this is best for you, or whatever. One, unfortunately, sometimes, yes, you need outside help, but be careful about that. I'm not saying don't get on the road of the negativity, because it's easy to go down the spiral and feel that, oh, the world is against one. No, it's all about perception, but it's all about facts as well. So you get the basic of truth and facts, which is not always going to be important to those that are awakened. And it's about trusting your gut feeling, and just go along with what you feel is right within your gut and in your soul, because we only have one chance on this earth, and we're still here, and these times we're living in are the end of times now for a reason. So whether you believe in organized religion, or whether you are spiritual, whether you're not, and even if you're a humanist and you're atheist, fine, go down the technology route, upload your consciousness to the supercomputer and live forever. If you want to be turned into a robotic transhumanist, be my guest. That's a freedom of choice. I didn't want my son to be that mindset at all, but I know how this mind control technology works. I'm not expert, I don't know everything, but I know a lot of things in that regard, and it's not pleasant, and it's been around for a long, long time. And the psychological tactics they're using, especially mainstream media, good gosh, get rid of your TV if you can, and do not watch the news. But anyway, I digress. I think a lot about PPI refuse to acknowledge the BC or Shane. Why is that, Jeff? Can't admit that, hey, I was wrong. What I thought was foolish is truth. Yeah, it is a judgment. When one comes to an awakening, shall I say, everything one's ever really known, and just embrace. You've just one has just had that kind of life, and one's gone through that kind of situation. You can't turn the clock back and change things, or you can deal, and you can't predict the future, although would like some people can, I'm sure. But the point is here and now. Is focusing here and now, one thing at a time. It's not easy when you get bombarded with everything all at once sometimes. I know too well. Deep breath. The triggers in the MK Ultra mind control is what they do. So when you come into that dark space and the mindset, just be very, very careful. Because, you know, once you keep a journal, I don't know if anybody keeps a diary or a notebook or put pen to paper the old-fashioned way. When you write things down and get it out of you, and you're able to write things down and see a pattern, you know, and you look back on your diaries or dates and you see what's personally happened practically in one's life, what's triggered something, and then you recognize there's a pattern over time. And time, they say time's a healer, but at the time right now, just focus on what is right for one. It may not be right for another, because we're all different, we're not all the same, and that's what's a beauty of being individuality. And that's what powers that be don't want. They want the hive mind, all linked into like the matrix. Just reading your comments. Sorry, come in and dominate. Sorry to come in. No, you're not dominating, nothing. It's just where I meet PPL who know we're all learning. It's all about the awakening. Joe says, all good, Jeff. Nice to meet you, by the way. As you, Joe, and all present. MK Ultra. Yes, it is, Joe. It's the CIA. Well, it's more than that. It's if you see the stream, educateyourself.org at the top, you go into the MK Ultra. They claim it finished in the 70s. It's never finished. It went on the Black Project, the Black Budget, you know, globally, not just in America, went underground. It's always been around, the occult. And as I said before, in History Today, I was raised learning about the Israelites, the Lamanites, the AD, BC era. I was raised in reading the context, and my family's believed, still do, that the occult I was raised in was the true Christian. It's organised. No, it's not. It's a big corporation, internationally run. I'm not here to bash religion. It's their choice. I got out of it, and I'm glad I did. And the fact is that I rebelled against everything I was ever raised in, and then years on, all sorts of things I've been in, done there, got the t-shirt, nothing very awful, by the way, and I'm still here trying to survive. It's just I have knowledge like anybody else, and just because I know certain things, I'm not just on the list. Some arsehole put me on a bloody target list and singled me out for a long time, and I've had nothing but BS for a long time, and a lot of people's been longer than I. And the technology out there, my God, I could not even believe half of what I started to find out. Implants is something, was like, what? Why would somebody put an implant in a human body without their informed consent? How could they do that? Oh, how many operations did one have? You see, the confusing stage of targeted program will just end up in rabbit holes. Be careful out there. Anybody's playing back, you know too well. You see, I'm constantly being presumptions are being made about my private life yet again. So it's like with the MK Ultra program, everyone's different. I get this constant assumptions about my ability to make a decision. It's all about labeling. You know, everyone's got a program, an end goal, and there's so many people that have skills in technology that work out why their computers, internet's hacked into. Because it's big business with the biomedical technology companies, you know, monitoring your bio data. Anyway, and then you've got people that's very experienced in doing photography and documenting the gaslighting on the practical level. And be careful, because they can get you into a situation where you think every family member, everybody ever knows all been involved. That's where the delusional presumptions might come in. Be very careful. Because it's manipulation of the emotions, the human emotions. It's the technology side of it. And that's why I mentioned about the website. Empowered says, yes, nice to meet you, Jeff. Jeff says, horrible mind control tactics that shatter personality through brutality. Yes. Yes. Unfortunately. And when I started learning and watching the weather and observing 2015? Yeah. And it led me on to learning law. Well, learn both things at the same time. And when they used to have Google Hangouts, I used to know people and do shows and things online. And of course, I had my other website. Well, not website, but it was like a YouTube channel, but with the Google Plus, and put myself on camera teaching people about law. I was a thorn in the backside of public servants, wasn't I? So, of course, where do I live? Opposite a major public building now, known as in England Agenda 2030, policies, future, smart cities, Agenda 2050. I've known certain people, not personally, but in their job capacity, in their job role, for years, and they're connected. And I didn't realise how deeply connected to the occult and the Freemasonry they are. And one demonic entity, that's all I'm going to call him, lives right opposite me, and he controls everything around here with his connections. He's sold out. There's certain personal things you wouldn't even comprehend that goes on, which I know about. I can never talk about because I'm just on the radar. And they've been trying to get me out of this flat for years, and they got me run over. And how they done it would just sound far-fetched. So I have to be careful, because I'm monitoring and playing back everything, and especially, you know, it's just I have to be practical, and it's just like some people can put themselves on camera, right? Like Seven and many other good people out there. I'm not in that position. I am too much at risk where I am right now. I'm like somebody posted that I'm a thorn in their backside, and they've got to get rid of people like myself, but they can't do it in such a way to make it look obvious. They have to do it in a roundabout way. I've got no fear in that regard, because once you become aware, it's not easy, I tell you, to have literally, you know, these anxieties, these triggers, you know, it's not simple to block it out, to forget it, because don't forget, when they're messing about with MK Ultra and the mind control, they're messing about with your perceptions on your surroundings in your life, and so they want you to not function, to keep getting up, washing, dressing, eating, and just trying to have a life. And where I sustained horrific tort years ago is always Christmas period, where they like to create that triggers in me. I mean, I cope with it every other day, fine. But especially this time of year, they like to create the ultimate. And when they hack your devices and they stop your communication with, i.e., if you still have a relative left to talk to or communicate, so they mimic, you know, like they can post on yours, anything internet-wise, computer-wise, electronic-wise, they will mimic people. So I could be talking to an AI on it, you know, and they could be monitoring my neuro responses, you know, for the hive mind. It really is demonic. And Power says, yes, MK Ultra, the CIA mind control, otherwise known as the most brutal. Yes, exactly. All data. That is it. Joe says, we could very well be, yes. I said yes, we've not read that comment, Joe. We could very well be going through the MK Ultra with all of our devices being left on. This is it. You got it spot on in that last regard of 5G. January the 5th. In my area in Easter April 2020, it was already turned on around here. And I did a video on my other channel, a few of them, about it and how I knew. And they ramped it up 3 weeks ago. So the frequencies, and by the way, smart meters, everything to do with anything smart, is all like a grid pattern for Mother Earth. Bear with me, I've got to eat this. Jeff says, have you heard of tech giants having... Yes. Finally. Does anybody know about the movie? Remember the movie Avatar? Virtual reality. Sims. Yeah. Not so much, I don't know. I don't know about the virtual voodoo dolls. But why do you think Facebook changed its name to Mega, whatever it's called now? I don't use it myself. And when I found out that they're collecting all our data and Facebook's just an experiment, social experiment to collect all people's private data, and the likes of Edward Snowden and WikiLeaks got it all out, and I stopped using it. When I saw that movie Avatar, and there's somebody else about their stream about super soldiers, and when they were describing about a mega medical bed using technology to heal the cells instantly of the body, and it wasn't a coincidence. A week later, I saw on somebody's post on alternative media, and I went to investigate that company, and it was a biotech, Canada, American company, internationally known actually, creating the future biomedical AI technology for that, to replace what we know now with medical treatment and medical staff in hospitals, especially in England. And that particular medical type services, robotically, well, be able to diagnose everything within that particular style bed. The way it's designed. Imagine the movie, the type of pods, medical pod it's known as. It claims that the technology will be ready by the year 2050. And that reminded me about the movie I saw, because in that script and in the actual movie was a similar bed used as a pod for that guy in the wheelchair to get in, completely take on the computer program. So, and the virtual reality, and he's in that world with, his avatar is in that world with that race, in that virtual reality world. Yeah, you won't be too surprised either, Joe, yeah. Like the Matrix, yeah. Jess says, it started out as just advertising opportunity, but AI was too good at what it did and gathered all your decisions. There you go. Have you noticed how they're doing that subtly? How they've been doing that over a period of time? I'm just going out comment. Bear with me a minute. I'm catching up. Empowered PP UK says data is the new oil. Yes, it is. And translates to people are the new oil. As individuals, data is the most valuable in control manipulation. You've got it all in one there. Empowered. You see? Absolutely. Tanya, you might have disappeared off the chat. D-Wave made by, I didn't even know who made that actually, the technology. That's interesting. Is it Geordie Rose? Do you know much about their background in their business contacts? Well, not contacts, but business-wise in the industry. Wow. Interesting. Jeff says, millions will fall for ancestry DNA tests. Yes. You got that spot on. The ancestry part. They've been doing that for years. In the occult that I was, religious occult that I was part of. And I was raised to do, ancestry, genealogy. Not quite the DNA testing, but the genealogy. Very heavy, much involved. They wanted to trace back, allegedly, I'm going to put here, to trace the God gene. Yeah? Upon, Jesus period, all those many centuries ago, who might be connected in the bloodline through the DNA. It wasn't until recently I found all that certain things out, which I can't really talk about, and how I know. I just say that you're on the right path on that. And everything about them sold several times over. Yeah, Barrett. The smartphone is their best weapon against us. There you go, Joe. This is where the Amish community, I was as me. Okay, I might not agree to everything, but they are absolutely, they can't touch them, can they? Because they're religious, belief style, they've been around. I mean, I don't know how, I can only imagine. It's living and seeing your video about watching that horse and cart And it just dawned on me when I saw that earlier today. It's like, we're going to have to go back to that period when, you know, the shite hits the fan and you're not going to have your cars running. I'm just saying, if, just in case, just if, how are people going to get about? And I just saw that, and I just saw all these preppers and those that are doing, like, going back in the bushcraft skills, Viking, you know, the Viking period, those kind of skills, seeing people doing these particular type of videos and getting things prepared. And it just dawned on me with transportation, and it's like, okay, the Fifth Element movie with Bruce Willis in it, you know, the future, you know, technology, all those years ago, I thought it was a bloody good movie. And then here we are, you know, with Tesla technology and all the electrical cars, and then the electrical and smart cities. And then I saw a movie years ago, quite a long time ago, and it was all to do with eco-friendly. At the time, I thought, well, that's bloody good, because my ex years ago in the 90s, late 90s, his company, he designed the prototype, and he and his ex-business friend set up this company. And I've lost contact with him a long time ago. And he showed me the drawings for miniature taxis, electronic taxis that didn't need any drivers, that ran on, like, there weren't even trams, they were like two people, and you put your 50p in it, and they were on a mini track, and that would take from A to B. Well, in the movie, The Fifth Element was similar versions. Not quite what I saw on the prototypes of my own eyes, on the blueprints of my ex-friend of mine. But yeah, in this area, in the late 90s, he approached the public servants and the transport to my town to be the first for the world to have this new prototype. And they had, about 10 miles outside of town, my friend, he set up a piece of land with their prototype technology. And yet the guy that was in charge of the policies and finance for transport in this area turned down the idea. That guy's passed away, the political guy now, so I won't mention who he is. But when all these years later, when I found out that my previous friend and his company went public, well, it's private, PLC, and eventually they were going to do public shares, well, they decided to take their business to Dubai, the oil-rich country. And when he'd come back on his business trips, we were having lunch one time, and he said they got a deal in Dubai. And we're talking about like 1998. And now where we are with that, and these countries, and their technology. So I was privy to that information. I didn't even know what the heck this technology in Tesla was all about, yeah, until recent. So of course I was privy to that and to these connections I had all those years ago. And he had business contacts in computers, IBM he used to work for. And so yeah, I've met all sorts of people and all types of background and well-connected people. But since I mixed out their social circle, and a lot of them were involved in the cabal and their bloodline families, and especially one of my ex-friends, and he made it clear why he couldn't marry outside this family. They had to keep it within the family. His marriage had to be approved by the family members because they're extremely wealthy people, very wealthy. And he had a heart of gold. And he didn't want to be a part of that silver spoon type family. And that's why we got on, because I was never like that. And he just trusted me with information. And he educated me on the finer things of life, shall we say. So introduced me to a lot of influential people. But what I found with these people were very lonely. They were trying to fill the void in their life with lots of things of the natures I cannot ever repeat here. So let's just put it that way. When you get to hear things and see things, you think, oh my God, just put it this way, you know, just trust your gut instinct on these things. Just be safe, because it goes on. I pulled away from a lot of people for the sake of my kids when they were growing up. I had to focus on their best interests. And the high life and all the wealth and things like that I was mixed with was not my journey. I could have married, you know, another individual who had a lot of connections, shall I say, and he had a title, and I could have been living in a manor, and I just knew that older gentleman was a very honest and loyal friend. Sadly, I was young, and things in life at the situation at the time, I couldn't see it. And this is what you go through. So it's like a book, really. You know, your life is like a book. But when eventually you find out, no, it's been orchestrated all your life, and the DNA. So sorry, I've gone on a bit, got off track. Altar to an alien god. This is the ultimate. Good point you made, Jeff. Feel bad for Australia. Me too, Jay. It's a tool once for convenience, but now for evil, Jeff says. But it can be a tool again, Jay. Yeah, how would it be a positive tool now, Jeff? I'd be intrigued to know what your thoughts on that is. Empowered says, yep, I won't be giving my DNA, but they may take it without consent. Well, this is the point, isn't it, with target individuals, right? Empowered. They've already got my DNA anyway. They're clicking up outside my window, bear with me. Gone quiet now. Yeah. And this is what I found out. Empowered. Be careful, right? Do not answer your door if you're not expecting a visitor. Anyway. There's certain things that they're planning again, especially in England. And I've got to figure out my documents and how to reword it very soon and stick on my window and door with help. Because in that movie, in 1981, they were banning doors at the end of the movie. Regardless of what you do with your documents. I've just got a notification from someone. I haven't checked it out. but it says that we're coming after preppers. It's exactly the same of the script in the movie at the end. Excuse me, at the end of the movie, where they were confiscating people's food. They have the military martial law on the street, going door to door. Okay. So when I got the notification of a well-known source, I think it's Spectrum Survival. Could be a YouTube channel. I mean, it is, but I can't remember the title. I think it's a pronunciation of the YouTube channel. And his research is 100% spot on. And it's always worth independently researching as well. Just don't take things for face value ever. That's my own opinion. Do what you want, but never take things for face value. Just be safe out there. Because when they're going to create dark winter, how do you know they're not just going to take off with the Internet of Things as we know it? No? Cutting off the gas supply to Europe. Look what they did with false flags, claiming that Spanish volcano, claiming there had been affecting the coast of America and Europe and England, and the water rises through the Thames and London and hitting other coastal areas. But I had my gut feeling, I still do, it's to do with the comets. It's to do with the hidden obviously Joe, anybody else might know, Against the Grain YouTube channel. It's no coincidence that he is seeing things that I am seeing. If I get woken up early, how do I? Live weather cameras in Scotland, 5weather.co.uk. If anyone wants to go and check them out, UK time, they're meant to be the sunrise. I see more than one sun. I see the comets. When they correct the clouds, the man-made clouds, so it's like squashing the water, you know, literally there's no gap really for the connection between the water, the river, and the area that I'm looking at on the weather cam with the low level clouds. And when they do split, you're seeing a pale blue sky eventually. And then part of that, you'll see the combination of pink, yellow, and the very dark clouds. Now, what Stephen, Gretchen, Seven, Spaulding on the channel seeing, and the way he captures it is so early in the morning and sometimes in the evening, isn't it? Quite a few of what he's seen is what I see as well, but not all the time because the way they cover it up. Now, when Argo, I think it's pronounced as J, can't even pronounce the spelling now. He lives in Croatia. He's mathematical software. He's got a telescope and he's also got a mountain house. He breaks down the comets, and when the earthquakes and the weather subject now breaks it down so well for so long. He's just always spot on, and not many people care to know that the white sun stimulator, why that was created in the first place. Why is it in front of the natural sun? Because the sun is dying. Why there's a pole shift, and why you got great people out there like Adapt 2030 warning about the decline of food supply chain. Okay, all of these things, food shortages, and it's like what I was just watching that movie. It's like it's one that needs to be watched a couple of times just to know how that what we're living in now in the world is reality, and it's so important, in my opinion, just to be spiritually prepared, if that's all that one can do. And as I said, at the end of this movie, it's like people that believed in the Jesus Christ, Joshua, Lord, my Saviour, in my opinion, is prepared to give up one's physical life for a spiritual life. And for those, it says, I'm not expert in scripture study, but some people quote that, and I was listening to a couple of sermons earlier, and it was about the fact, and I've got to be careful, I'll charge my phone up in a minute, but men's heart's going to fail. People will not, they just won't be able to cope. They're just going to be like false alien invasion. What then? You know, when people do all the social media, TikTok videos and things like that, you know, and people don't know the bigger picture of other subjects are interlinked, then they're going to come to people that are targeted, for example, that we're already aware. People awaken that's already aware. Perhaps you're not targeted, but you're already aware in other subjects. They're going to come to you. They're going to say, what the hell? Why weren't we ever told all this? And no, it's wrong going to respond. But also you need to be safe. Because if you've got a spare loaf or a spare can or something, they've got rid of the food and, you know, and putting martial law on the streets and all sorts of things are going to may or may not happen. I'm not here to fearmonger. I never do that. I'll just get the facts, what I know, and take it or leave it. So they wanted me out of this place into a UK care home, and I find out why. And I find out why I stitched up, why they didn't repair my own, still haven't, and why it's getting so demonic around here, extremely, in that regard, and why somebody made a video to warn those parasites. He's in America, bless his heart, and I know full well why they're pushing the buttons, and what they're doing in my situation over here is to make me lose this flat of 10 years unlawfully, to push me into an environment, to force me without my consent of a certain medical procedure, shall we say. Because there's brilliant people out there that's already exposed how they've been doing this with 2020 and still to date for certain age groups and certain people in certain places, which I cannot mention any specifics. So it's alleged, and that's the assumption. And how can they do that? Well, just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't stop me having my own ability to make my own decision. But the psychological tactics, how they're trying to play, I haven't got that ability. What? And it's like, when you learn law and various subjects related, and you do your documents, and you really counteract that, and you responded in honour and lawfully, and I might try and do a string when I can, because I've already done my affidavit or documents of truth of fact, and that's been ignored by a specific individual in his role as he's very demonic, a possession. I can only describe that this is very much a demonic world we're living in, because I know 100% everything I've done has been honourable and lawful and factual. And evidence of these companies, public and private, sent the evidence off and rejected the offer without dishonour, and still comes back and starts all over again. And nobody can force you to set any financial offer Nobody, especially in England, nobody could offer to imply, if you've got a bank account, to put some cash in there without your consent, and to make up assumptions when you target individual on top about your psychological mindset. You need to really be careful about how you respond and what you share, what you talk about online, because they're going to track that. They're going to use an angle, you know, to hit back, you know, and this is what they're doing again to me on the paper format. It's all demonic. And the way in my area, 20 miles away, they have, like in Australia, they call it internment camp. But in 20 miles away from here, they haven't labelled it as that, but that's what it is. For those people won't take a certain, you know what, offer. And but for people like me, living it quite safely, independently, in my private capacity, and yet there's somebody similar to me that's less able-bodied, and she's got a daughter living with her to help her out. They don't touch her, but they have to come out at people that awaken, that are knowledgeable, because they don't want anyone else to know. I'm nobody, I'm just me, you know. And it's just like, what? You see me as a threat? For what? This information is widely available on books and websites, and it's not me just making things up. You know, the research that you do, and my background in research as a journalist many years ago, it's just led me in that path. And it's like, oh my god, here we go again. Anyway, sorry, I'm going on a bit. I'm going to charge the phone up. I got to go. What's the time? 9:30. Okay, blessings to you. Thank you for popping in, Empowered PP UK. Be very, very, very safe and careful out there. Take care, Empowered. You're welcome. Blessings to you. Gotta watch this phone. And oops, Bob. Jeff says, take care, Empowered. Bye, June. Barbara says, we are all temporary. This is it, Joe. From I can't even pronounce names right now. This is what they do in my speech. We are temporary vessels. Jeff, haven't had a TB. Well done. Well done. Nor have I. I soon got, well, it's not even switched on. It's one of these old-fashioned types. It cost me a fortune when I got it years ago, and I just haven't been able to give it away, recycle anything. When you're targeted, they just don't want to take anything off you and block your ability to recycle things, let alone sell things online. So yeah, I don't either. So when I found the documents, patents, the origins of the television programming from the 50s, as well as like the telegraph, you know, the telephone, and then investigating the first cable underground into the beach where I was raised, actually nearby the beach where I was raised in Cornwall, and that was the first place for like the likes of the version like MI6, MI5 type secret society. No, seriously, when I found, you see, when you find things out, my computer got badly attacked, really hacked, and I lost a lot of good documents, and it took me 2 weeks to try and get that laptop back to some kind of working format, but it's controlled, you know, somehow. They've cloned it like the phones, and yeah. It's no good with electronics. You just go and ask anybody who's unfortunately it is on the radar. And yeah, anyway, good for you, Jeff. I still have one. Do you, Joe? Just watching the football games. Yeah, bad enough. Just love the game. If that just helps you distract for a moment, just to get your head around things, then that is what works for one. Then that's, you know, is up to individual. But with the advertising within America, no matter where you are in the world, it's like England with football games. The football you have is called baseball over here. Okay, so yeah, it's well famous, isn't it? Sort of this time of year for certain games. I assume, Joe, I'm not expert in that. NFL, yeah. I waste no time watching the fake news or anything else, just local news and weather. But it's a form of predictive programming. You got it in one. I can accept, Jeff says, that some are greedy or even bad, but it's the hundreds of years of dishonesty and that erects me. Yeah, you see, Jeff, you can't change what these demonic entities have been doing for so long, centuries, and infiltrated into everything society now. It's just focusing on here and now and just getting through every minute of the day, you know, best we can, eh? And you say, I was raised that honesty is all. Exactly. You've got integrity. You know, they don't want people that have a decency about them. They want them some kind of ability to be corrupted in some way or another, you know? And that's what the dark occult is just thrive on, you know? And this is the time that you're coming to that realization, you know, and this is where the mind will just like the psychological tactics will come in, and you'll just get the confusing stage will come in, and it's like it seems like I don't know you, but I just assume that that is what's happening, you know, because it's not pleasant, no. So I can totally relate to you in that regard. If your word ain't no good, you ain't no good. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Jay, I used to love sports, but it's bread and circus, right? Yeah, I know that. A long, long time ago. Joe says, I agree with all the advertising, etc. And Joe says, still love the game of football though. Each to their own, Joe, you know. Enjoy what you can while you can. Jeff says, sorry, Joe. Jeff says, I can relate, Joe, though. Grew up in Magic, Bird, Jordan, etc. Used to watch the TNT triple headers. Wow. Awaken, I have cousins here in Ohio and run a construction company that are Freemasons. Oh, wow. Yeah. I wonder if they really knew when they were asked to join the fraternity, or if they did it out of their family bloodline and got introduced because their father or their friends or their work colleagues were involved and they got invited and they pay their fees per whatever month or week and they go to the lodges meetings, and whether they realised when they did their rituals and introductions and at the time people will say, oh, well, it will help your business grow, you'll make a lot of friends, it's a good social thing. But once you climb the ladder, and they never tell you until you get to degrees and you pay your dues each level, there's fees always involved, and unless you're lucky to have those fees waived. But when you get to my late husband's degree level and become a master, that's when you find out what it's really about. And then you look into the origins of the Freemasons. I mean, ordinary stonemasons in the Egyptian period were just basically that, just builders, you know. and to keep their trade, secret. But when you dig further into the connections of the Illuminati, it's not quite the enlightened ones, spiritual enlightened ones, because that's also you're going to a lot of the members, when they read the books and well-known authors and go back 17th century, 15th century, 16th century, you go into the family of the Rothschilds, their connections and their history, and you start digging and you'll find out it's not quite as innocent. I don't knock it. If people want to be members, just be very careful, because sometimes those that are members, they've signed a blood oath. They've signed up to support their brothers or the sisters in the fraternity, and they are not able to say anything, because when they sign the blood oath, that's for life. You don't just leave. And there's a sinister, darker side to it. And this is the things I can't talk about, because I know, unfortunately, a lot of things connected. So that's why certain things are happening to me, because they're using their connections to do what they're doing to me. And not the ways I can't go into, because it just makes me sound like I've lost the plot, but I haven't. So just be careful. You don't talk to them at all. They are enemies, as far as I'm concerned. I might leave so. It's very hard, because it took me years to realise a lot of things. And especially my family members. If I'd known the founder of the organised religion that I was a member of, and it's not my mum's fault, she thought it's a true Christian church, and she did the best. But when I'd realised and found a lot of things out, I had to leave. I was a young age when I left. I was torn to shreds. I had those 8 men in that meeting, and me as a young girl on my own, telling me I'm going to be hated for the rest of my life, telling me I'm going to be hated by all my family. Yeah, all my life. They were told, all my family were told not to talk to me. Since I moved up here when I was a young girl with my first child, it was that. It started. Disowned me. Left on my own to cope with it. So I got on with it. But good job my mum raised me with good morals and standards, because I never did the drinks, never did the drugs. I'm not an angel, but I never went down avenues that I easily got involved in. I just did the best I could with my kids. And that's when I started sticking up for the underdog, sticking up for my kids for education, for social justice. When I had a remedy and I was successful, I started helping other families and their parents. The state system didn't like it, and they started setting me up. And then, of course, when I sustained that horrible crime, attempted murder, on my life, and I find out years on it was a major stitch up for the MK Ultra, and to create a report about me. Well, you got ex-people leaving the military with post-traumatic stress, and what they see and what they go through. So when you're traumatized in such a way that you have to blank out what's ever happened to you to cope with everyday life, you see, what I found out years on is that with the mind control, with the MK Ultra, is about splitting the mind. And when they split the mind, it's called disassociation. And I link that back, as I said, on that website. You can research if you want, with the MK Ultra, and look at the Tavistock Institute. Had I known when I was referred to London Tavistock Hospital for what happened to me by the police, referral, okay, suggestion, that is all about monitoring my experience and monitoring my emotions and reactions toward the trauma I sustained. And then that's been like that ever since. So when I went for a second opinion, I didn't know the hospital I was referred to there as an outpatient was also had links. It's all interlinked. I couldn't believe how everything's linked up. And it wasn't just me. Many people in my situation. And it's just because I had an inquisitive nature to dig and find things out. And my God, I'm looking at this website, I'm reading this information all these years ago. What the heck? So, of course, the big pharmaceutical industry loves labels. They love putting people on medication. And you've got to be careful what you say, and because it's like I have to rebut these assumptions, and that's why I know firsthand. And it's like these demonic connections and Freemasonry and Illuminati, and here we now, 2021, and it's like when they're offering a certain medical procedure, if you know what I mean by that, they're looking at informed consent. Okay, so I've got to quickly go on charge. Bear with me. My battery's running out. It is 10 o'clock at night. Right, so public servants assumptions, right? I need the heat on because it's cold. Be careful when they anything to do with psychological subject. Anybody, look up the DSM manuals, look at the history, educateyourself.org if you want to, on the assumptions to do. You have trauma